أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A very good evening to you. I feel comforted that His and Her Excellencies from Africa is here to consider what I have to share with you. I just want to take a flashback to the heroic Rif War of Liberation 1921 to 1926. And in the middle of the war, we know that nearly 40,000 Spanish soldiers died. Around the 7th of October 1923, and we've heard that the League of Nations refused to mediate, and the International Committee of the Red Cross decided to step aside. Today we celebrate the declaration and proclamation to all nations of the world when the Rif Republic reaffirmed its independence in London. The Agent General of the Republic of Rif declared its determination to fight for its political recognition. You are continuing that fight in Brussels this afternoon, and I congratulate the Rif National Party for keeping the flame alive. In spite of 102 years, you are still keeping the flame alive. And we appreciate the fact that you have been very active in the last 4 years. I have the highest regard for Julius Nyerere. But it was a mistake to disband the Liberation Committee of the Organization of African Unity in 1994 when South Africa got its independence. Because the job was not done. We still had Western Sahara, Rif Republic, and 1 or 2 other countries in Africa that needed their liberation. So Uhuru, that particular mission has not been completed. So I would like to call on His Excellencies and Her Excellencies from Africa. Can't we revive the Liberation Committee, so that every country in Africa that wants self-determination gets its freedom? I think that is something that needs to be debated. We must understand that the route that the Rif Republic is taken is different to the route that was taken that led to the freedom of so many countries in Africa. You're following an un-African route. Let me tell you that the reason many African countries got their independence is as a result of the Pan-African Congresses. The Pan-African Congresses all over Africa, meetings like this, help most of Africa to get its independence in just 20 years. You started your struggle 102 years ago. So we need to look at whether we're following the right strategies or not. So let me quote Julius Nyerere, the speech he made in Dar es Salaam on the 16th of June. 1974, when he opened the Pan-African Congress Conference. He said, the Organization for African Unity is not a black man's organization. It is an organization including men of all colors. It requires the unity of Africa to include the non-black Africans of North Africa. So the Organization for African Unity has to concern itself with the oppression of many people of any color. So the mission is not complete, like I said earlier on. And I also want to state again that it was wrong to wind up the Liberation Committee in '94 in Arusha, Tanzania. So everyone talks about the heroic continental freedom struggle. But there's nothing heroic about it if there are still countries who want self-determination who did not get their self-determination. Why is the Rif War not part of humanitarian history? We heard in 1921, many of your grandmothers, grandfathers, and even fathers were brutally raped and murdered and burned and killed, but no one talks about it. It is also surprising that Spain doesn't recognize the 40 people that died in that particular war. So the memory of the Rif struggle has in a way been obliterated, and it's a conference like this that is going to carry on with the legacy provided by our great leader, Sheikh Abdul Rahman. There he is over there. Round of applause. So we need to revive the Liberation Committee that gave so many countries their freedom and followed their strategies. And one of the strong strategies they had is they had a very strong secretariat based in Tanzania. So you need a very strong secretariat behind a liberation committee. So Africa is changing. Now that they have Uhuru, you find that there is not much effort being done to create a united African state. I don't want to say United States of Africa because you think it's America, United African States. If we have a united African state, Africa will be much stronger in terms of economics and other areas, much stronger than the European Union and the Commonwealth combined. You are aware of the intercontinental African trade web where we will remove the barriers and there will be no tariffs. And Africa is set to have 7 years of prosperity that we've never seen anywhere in the world over the last few decades. So now the Rif struggle is following a different route. And unfortunately, whatever you do, Trump just sends out a tweet and all your efforts are wasted. Nothing happens. Donald Trump will trump you with his tweets. You can go to the ICJ, to the criminal court. You can do what you want, but just one tweet, and the Rif struggle comes to a standstill. It's very important for the Rif struggle to find ways and means to unite with the rest of Africa. They don't even know that you exist. Many African countries and the people of Africa don't even know you exist. They don't know about the heroic struggle of 1921 over those 5 years. So maybe we must use the economic opportunities in the intercontinental African trade agenda that is now going on. You see, at the moment, most African countries who receive uhuru, 50% of their GDP is stolen through illicit financial flows by the former colonial powers and corporates and conglomerates. South Africa, we stand on 51% of our GDP that's stolen. Other countries in Africa are about 60-70%. Now, if that GDP is retained in the country and it is properly taxed, we can then provide services to our people. So don't fool yourself. The uhuru that African countries have is fake because they are losing that 60%. Uhuru is not just being able to run governments and to be a president or a cabinet minister, or like myself, a deputy minister. You have to be able to control the economies. So I want to suggest to the Rif struggle that you look closely on how you can assist African countries regain some economic power. I want to move on to the fact that Western Sahara, Rif Republic, Morocco, earlier on we heard about Indonesia. They are Muslim countries. And maybe it is time to have a new Muslim civilization that can resolve the conflicts between Muslim brothers and sisters. So we mustn't forget that window of opportunity, that we must also work for a new Muslim civilization. The Arabs had two chances. The Ottoman Empire ruled for 500 years. It's now the turn of Africa to lead the Muslim world. We have some of the best universities in Africa, some of the best thought leaders in Africa, some of the best ulama in Africa. And maybe we need to look at that opportunity. So to conclude, I came here, traveled 14 hours to try and persuade you to do what you can to revive the Liberation Committee. All these efforts that we've heard about must carry on. But we can't wait another 102 years. We can't wait for Trump to complete his 4-year term and maybe get another term, I don't know, or someone comes in worse than him Our liberation struggle can't be defeated by a tweet, and that is what is happening. We need to find ways and means. How are we going to counter the tweet? But coming back to Africa, Africa also needs a unity committee. That is what our foundational fathers of the liberation movement want. A unity committee, because Africa is not united. Now that they've got half of Uhuru, everyone is just carrying on its own. But I would like to congratulate you for holding this conference, for carrying on the legacy of our great leader over there, and you must be very proud of this conference. Shukran, thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.